The second countdown is the one you can trust. And welcome to the Breachers VRML Season 3. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm your sole conductor into today's journey into the top tier of the EU space. Berserk versus Blaze EU. The underdogs of the evening, Blaze, holding a 5-3 record. And I say underdogs simply because the connoisseurs deemed it so. I think a 24-10 vote. Let me double check that. 32-10 in favor of Berserk this evening, leaving Blaze with a arguably uphill battle if you look at the stats alone. Berserk with a 7-2-1 record off of their season so far, coming in at 78% round win rate is incredibly impressive. And Hideout at a 74%, definitely a impressive win rate, but also equally so Blaze holding an impressive Hideout win rate as well, 38 rounds played with 71%. So if we do go Hideout, that's definitely going to be one way to start off the series. The vote ends in a few seconds, so we'll know where our first map of the evening is going to take us, and it looks like we, interestingly enough, are going to Ship. I wonder if that was the intended choice, because if you look at the bans, both Dam and Arctic were off the table. And my thought process there being that these teams want to avoid the unknown. And Ship is definitely a little bit of the unknown. I suppose not if you've practiced it, but for those that don't know, Ship got a redesign at the start of this season. A couple of its floors getting changed in their general layout. And so there is still some sort of ideology behind that. If you take Ship, you are picking a map that players have arguably less practice on. Simply because it's new. But at this point, 9 weeks into the regular season, a couple of months with that map in their rotation, I imagine that both of these squads are pretty well practiced at it. We can take another look at that matchup history to sort of understand where they sit with Ship. Have Berserk even played it? I'm sure they have. Just doesn't get pulled into the stats because now we have 6 maps instead of 5. I thought we had 5 in lobby for Berserk for a second there, but I was misled. That's why we jumped into the intro, because I thought we were ready to dive into our first map, but it is still apparently a holding pattern for Berserk's 5th. They are running out of time, so they may want to tap into that resource of a 5th if they have it. I think at 10 minutes, the map will start. And then you can play that map and then call a timeout, I think, is the rule. So I don't think you can call a timeout, obviously, in the middle of a series, the middle of the map, once it's started. You can't call a timeout before map 1 starts, but you do have a 10-minute to 15-minute, I think it's 10, leeway period to get your team in lobby before the things do start. So we could be starting into a 4v5. I'm getting word on, if you look at chat, that their 5th is running home, but not fast enough. As that 10-minute timer ends, and we do go into a 4v5 to start our first map of the afternoon on Ship. A strange power play, if you will, for Blaze coming here. The start of these early rounds on offense, they'll get a chance to potentially go into the 5v4 if Berserk doesn't get their 5th in time. Berserk's 5th can join at any point during this map. And as I say that, Flashbang, the 5th for Berserk, does jump in. I wonder if that's a sub or their rostered 5th, but either way, they do seem to avoid the risk of going in with a bot on their team. Defensive bot, not too bad. Offensive bot, definitely a worse case. But Blaze are fully stocked on the offensive side, and we're ready to dive into round 1, map 1 of Berserk versus Blaze EU. Berserk kicking things off with an early kill. King Jakub finds one as the drone from John Breacher goes inside, tries to find out where this defense is. I think they've got a double drone investment, if I'm seeing that right. I think there was a second drone getting flown by Lom. Or they're just, oh, they look like they maybe, yeah, they were droning. Okay, on the outside. I think maybe they disconnected because they were out there for so long as Jacobs does rotate up. Blaze are stacked on the outside. The flank defender still on the rotation. Mad catches one, a nice nade from Lam. Scoops up another. Noisy Boy finds a third, and on site's getting pushed. Blaze EU picking apart this defense, and we're into the 1v1. With Jacobs catching John Breacher's unaware, and despite the EMP getting planted, it will get diffused, and the defensive opening round will go to Berserk. 1-0 to kick off our series. Jumping into this one, looking at stats, I would anticipate a 2-map series to Berserk. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now at the very start of the series. But Blaze looked good on that initial attack. And Berserker down a player again. I think maybe they're subbing out their actual 5th. Archibald joins. And at this point, I do not know what Berserk are up to. But maybe this is their full roster. Either way, they've managed to take the first defensive round, which enables them to invest a little bit here in round 2. They've got the Vezin, they've got the Omen. Not sizable, but certainly a mid-buy. I think actually you can't really go much more than that without over-committing into the round. Ending up impacting your economy too drastically. As John Breacher's breach is their way in. John Breacher's breaching in Breachers. Noisy Boy trying to stay quiet and invisible on their rotation on the front line of this defensive or offensive trio, excuse me, rotating up towards site. Right as they get to the corner, their active camo dissolves, so perfectly timed. Back on cooldown, and as it does, Archibald peeks out, does not connect with the kill. The whole team comes crashing in. Everyone needs a checkup as we tuck into the doctor's office. An immolation made, going to give them some burns they can triage right there. As Lam does get the EMP down. On-site defender is picked up. Savage on the backside is a potential threat. A nice heal from Jacobs there. They don't need that medical room to do the healing. They can do it right on the outside. As a good flash, I believe, hits Mad. The swing out coming in as the push around sight. An absolute chaotic rollout that leaves Berserk with 3. Still Legolo here to defend, and Archibald cleans things up. Bewares finds the team kill in the effort to get rid of their enemy, and I think at the very least they'll carry their investment through to the next round, so the Vezin and Omen get to make it through. If they had lost one more player, they would have lost money on buying into that round. But an ultimately net positive 2-0 opener here for Berserk as they shut down that final EMP defender and defuse. And I'm seeing some info that I'm quiet. Let me double check. Hello. Test, test. No, I'm looking good. I think it's okay. Let's do a triple check because there's one other possibility. No, we're chilling. Appreciate the, just turn me up, you know? I think I bumped up my audio a little bit, so hopefully that helps. Oh, maybe the game audio is also, we'll see. I'll pay attention to it. I didn't get any comments yesterday, and I haven't changed anything, so maybe people don't care about hearing me on the NA side. We're all right. I think the audio levels are about right. Either way, the first opening kill of the round comes through, this time to Berserk. Nice refrag from Lamb Lamb. There's John Breacher's breaches. Savage supporting over the top, and some utility disrupting the flow of their entry. As the duo does come crashing through, Lamb Lamb breaks in. A nice flash bounced around the corner. Mad's going to peek out for one, but they'll go down to John Breacher's. Breacher's swinging out for another. They can't pick it up. Lamb Lamb does get the EMP plant. So it's a little money to Blaze, but not a lot. And EMP will be defused successfully. Berserk take a solid 3-0 defensive hold here on ship. I don't think this was high up on the stats for Berserk, so maybe a little surprising from Blaze that they are putting on such a good show, but I don't know that Blaze have really, I think that was actually, I should have looked at the, I didn't even look at the Blaze's economy last round and what they bought into, because now they're only getting 2 Vezins and 2 Omens. I think Legolo was showing me the VRML skin for a second there. I missed it. Either way, I appreciate everyone tuning in and the folks that are enjoying the action this afternoon. I know these players excited to be on cam. They haven't gotten a lot of casts. Last cast for Blaze was week 2 of the season. And they're back on the main stage battling against Berserk for really a chance into the top 7. If Blaze managed to overcome the adversity in terms of rank, they will have an opportunity to break into the top 7 in some of the last few weeks of the regular season. There isn't a lot of opportunity left to grow and climb up that ladder. After this week, after today, all there is 2 weeks left. No, 3 weeks left of regular season. Mosey Boy's going to swing that Omen, connects. It puts a Vezin down, but Jacob doesn't let anyone else get through to pick that Vezin up off the floor. The pings are coming in. There it is. Health syringe also down in front of them. If Savage can manage to push forward here and get rid of King Jacob, they could find a bunch of beneficial guns, utility, upgrade their overall kits, but there is more than just King Jakub here. They've got shots coming in through the wall, trip mines to worry about that they're not paying attention to because they're getting blinded by the lights of the Vezin on the ground. And now the rest of this defense reinforcing here. Immolation and a smoke to slow them down. Jacobs pushes up, Bewares finds another, and now John Breachers with the only Vezin left tucks in. A great defensive hold from Berserk, great use of utility. Yeah, they're going to eco it. It is the right choice. And it's an opportunity for us to look at one more time the overall match history between these two teams. Haven't encountered each other before. Berserk sitting at 2nd, Blaze at 9th on the EU ladder. And I talk about the top 7 a lot simply because the postseason is upon us soon. It starts in January, technically, but we're coming down to the final weeks of regular season. And the final weeks to climb that ladder to get into the top 7. The way postseason works is if you are in the top 7, then you auto-qualify through to the closed qualifiers. If you are ranked 8th and below in your region, you get a chance to compete in what's called the Challenger Cup. Any team that wants to participate can. Your seasonal ranking determines your seeding, and you play in a round-robin tournament. At the end, 2 teams advance through, then go up against a best of 3 for only 1 to make their way in as that 8th team in the closed qualifier. That Challenger Cup is grueling. It is a test of stamina. It's 5 maps in a row against 5 different opponents. And so you can imagine it's essentially a 4 to 5 hour day of breachers where you're constantly having to adjust strategy and adapt throughout the entirety of that day. You really have to win or bust, too, considering how many teams will be entering into that Challenger Cup. And so it's something that teams push to avoid. That's why we kind of hype up these final weeks. Ultimately, you want to be in the top 7. You do not want to be a team that's ranked 8th or below fighting for that Challenger Cup. But ultimately, we get great results out of that Challenger Cup, and sometimes even see that Challenger Cup winner go pretty dang. I don't think we've ever seen a Challenger Cup winner win a postseason, but they have gone pretty far. So here we go. Berserk with a 4-0 lead. Our first mid-floor objective. And Blaze have put up a great contest so far this afternoon. But Berserk obviously sitting at number 2 in the ladder, flexing their understanding of ship here quite well, at least on defense. It is obviously still the defensive half, and I quite frankly don't even know meta-wise where ship sits, defensive, offensive favor. Maybe it's even more of a 50-50 break these days than it is in past seasons. But either way, the push coming in. Archibald again getting caught by Tripmine. The EMP plant coming down by Legolo. And the counter push comes in from the defense. I don't think that EMP plant goes through, but Archibald certainly does. They'll go down to Mama picking up 3. And then tucking in for the ace in the round win if they can get it. 3 of the 5 kills they've got this map have come out of this round. Looking to push that KD positive with a solid swing here. Mad's tucked into a bit of an off position. Beware is tucked in tightly. Is Lamb going to be checking this corner? They do. They scoop up the first one. Are they going to swing for the second? Mad's around the corner. EMP on the wall, and Mad is waiting for the EMP bait. They'll swing out and catch the kill. Perfectly timed. And while the EMP does go down, the round will still go to Berserk. Another close one. We've had a few of these so far this afternoon, and we can take a look at the scoreboard to see that Lamb, Noisy both picking up kills on Blaze's side, but Archibald leading the charge with 7. Nobody quite into the double digits just yet, but after 5 rounds, Blaze have tried their hardest to get an offensive point on the board. Have not been able to do it. And Blaze have just been putting up a solid defensive hold, counteracting these pushes quite nicely, anticipating the pushes very well, and I think, frankly, stacking pretty heavily to defend the objectives when those pushes do come in. Maybe it's because they're reading Blaze's strategy, anticipating that it'll be a full stack. Everyone will be there to push, and that if they do stack their defense equivalently, they'll end up coming out on top. I think oftentimes a at least we see it a lot more in Vale at a high level. Different game, obviously, but, you know, baits to different sites. It does happen. We do see rotations coming in, obviously, on breachers as well, but I don't think intentional baits to sites occur that often. And that's, I think, more so just because how close sites are, how easy it is for defense to rotate to between sites. You know, even if you do manage to draw defense out to a certain site and then go to the other one, it's still pretty easy for them to rotate back in time. Wham here, though, does catch King Jakub out. The over-aggression on the outside. As Archibald here is going to be next on the hit list. As they try and drop back, they'll go down. Lamb finds another. Savage trying to catch Blaze through the wall. Can't. But Blaze are up to an early advantage, 4v3. The first time they've had a kill lead in this map. Legolo catches one. Berserk down to just there, and a beautiful swing up. The Immolation finding another on the backside. And the push out from Bewares finishes things off. The teamwork from Berserk. A wonderful pinch that nets them a perfect half. As we swap sides and Berserk go to the attack, and all they need is a pistol defensive hold to get them out. What a big clutch. What a play for that final kill. The Immolation nade, utilizing that new throw mechanic introduced midway through this season, perfectly lining up the bounce to a standard Immolation spot, then snapping up for the kill, the perfectly timed flank. Just a wonderful bit of coordination from Berserk to shut Blaze down. And what is otherwise a do or die now moment coming in from the Blaze defense. Must win 6 rounds in a row just to tie and push us to 3 maps in the series. And obviously, in comparison, Berserk, off of a successful clutch, have a lot of momentum, feeling good, feeling confident, and looking for one more round here to lock in a map win. Drop down, one goes dead. Nice counter nade that zones them out, but Archibald's there on the short corner and catches Lamb unaware. Drone comes in, nades toss to the backside. A pretty good toss that does move a little bit of the Blaze defense, but doesn't catch anyone out on damage. Foam does go up, and as Archibald swings out to grab that foam, they'll go down. Legolo also, oh, the Immolation nade actually is what did it. Noisy Boy connects with a headshot through the wall on an already low HP Berserk attacker. Now the flash comes in. Beware misses on the backside. Noisy Boy swings up to the front end, and then we trade through the hole in the wall. And Blaze, 4 alive. Defensive-sided map for sure. And in a do-or-die must-win pistol opener, they get themselves a now advantage round 2. How hard do you commit is the question. Do you overcommit is the risk. Blaze have to play the long game now and win while also managing effectively their economy. They cannot overcommit here. Some would say you put everything into this from now on if you are Blaze, simply because you are essentially at map point every round. So if you're ecoing any money, there's no point, because if you lose, you lost the map. So you might as well spend as much as you possibly can to then at least mean that if you die, you have it's hard. You know what I mean? Because if you do spend everything and then you lose 4, but you win the round, your next round is still tough. And in comparison, your offensive opponent, Berserk, has fully ecoed. So their next round is going to be a full buy regardless of the outcome here. All these things are things you have to consider when you do enter into the eco phase of each and every round. That's why they have a minute to decide how they're going to utilize all of their cash and where they're going to deploy the utility. That's one thing I really like about this game, is the intricacy of that decision making That can make or break your rounds. No one home on these short angles. Worried that maybe that spot could be breached. Someone could come flying in through. Reaching the wall and the push coming in onto Blaze. The eco round, no less, and they'll trade 1 for 1. That's a net positive. Finding kills at all is a bonus. Eventually, the advantage goes back into Blaze's favor. Those they drop back to tuck back in and defend. The pistol users get picked apart. Jacobs find themselves in a bit of a tight spot. Was able to just barely get away, and Bewares. And catch Noisy Boy cannot. Blaze putting on a solid defensive hold. 2 kills have come through from Berserk, and ultimately that's a positive. Like I'm saying, damage done to the economy of Blaze, anticipating that they've invested into this round. But Blaze didn't overcommit. They are managing their economy nicely. They do have enough, even if they do lose a few. And they will lose a few. Legolo is going to get full heal, but they are not going to be ready for this swing. The headshot, the quick pickup. They've got themselves an omen in their hands. Noisy Boy will peek out onto the corner. And the connection from Jacobs, trying to clutch this up into the 1v1 as John Breachers holds a pistol in their hands. Health syringe is pinged. Can they afford to go for it? Will John find the connection? EMP's down as well. 15 seconds on the clock. How does Jacobs play these final seconds? Breachers is the one that clutches it as Jacobs goes down on the swing. Vezin gets picked up. Omen won't get carried through. So damage done. And ultimately a net win for Berserk. Again, their eco round nearly clutching that. Now they go full buy, have a little extra cash for some extra attachments, utility in comparison. Blaze still healthy, able to afford a full buys here as well. Obviously off of that round win, but also because of how they managed their economy the round before. I'm seeing in chat some Blaze fans coming alive. The 6-0 curse, as Mike says. Yeah, it's definitely something you have to be cautious of. I think Berserk are playing effectively into it. The pistol round essentially was a must-win. Obviously, that was the end of the map. Once you lose that pistol round, you're at a disadvantage. They full ecoed, so they were anticipating a loss there. Not for that round not to be as close as it was. And now is when they're committing to trying to make this map win happen. Otherwise, we are going to get into some deep rounds. We are going to get into a 2v6, 3v6, 4v6 even potentially. If Berserk aren't able to find some success here soon. Catch a Vezin down, a bit of utility. Not exactly what Berserk were hoping would happen. But a good hold from Blaze nonetheless. And like I was saying earlier, sometimes you want to divide and conquer, and we are getting a bit of that. A 2v2 split coming in from the likes of Berserk. And they have effectively drawn this defense away from where the initial push seems to be coming from. They have several defenders over at A, anticipating the swing. As the wall gets cracked, nades come through. It does force out some rotation. Berserk loses another. Legolo and Mad battle back and forth. Legolo finds a second. EMP. It'll be tough to plant, and Mad patiently waits until they hear that final push coming their way. Spring up to find the kill, asking for the EMP to get tossed to them, and in that toss, John Breachers finds another. They'll swing out for the final kill and a double that ends Blaze into a 3-6. The full buy from Berserk does not work, and now we go to another eco round. And so Blaze are snowballing now. Have a solid advantage this round to push it 4-6, like I said. And then it's the final 2 rounds, round 11 and 12. That will obviously decide if we're going to have a 3-map series or if we're going to be done. Well, or if the possibility of being done in 2 is there. Definitely seems that the new ship design leads defensive-sided, if we were to say anything based on how this series results. But it still could go 7-3, still could be early days. I don't think that's going to happen based on, again, the economic disparity that Berserk find themselves in, but they also nearly won the eco round. That was going up against, of course, I think 1 Vezin instead of 5, so a bit of a different task there. But we shall see soon enough. Drone work identifying trip mines, which have been a serious threat so far in this series, have caught multiple kills. Berserk, I think they found most of those, and Nate at least doesn't go off, but a headshot from John Breachers nonetheless. That one definitely hurts. They keep losing an early player. And another 4-5. A good flash catches too. A second flash that follows up, and Lamb Lamb stays blind. Immolation nades and utility prompted out. Eventually, Archibald catches one. A smoke comes in to grab that gun and move it away, I imagine. Archibald's pushing in. Dio in again, looking to make some magic happen. Finds one, finds 2. The Omen comes alive in the short. No, the Viper, no less. EMP's getting planted, and this is potentially Berserk taking the map in the eco round. I said you should never count them out, and oh my goodness, I counted them out, and so did Blaze. They were feeling confident in the snowball effect. They were feeling confident in their economic advantage, but Berserk, stop the bleeding and take the map win. 7-3. The double kill from the Omen. In particular, an impressive bit there. And yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Blaze definitely stepping up to the task of Berserk here, taking 2 double-digit kills there between Lamb Lamb and Noisy Boy. I know the scoreboard just reset because the map ended, but we still have the scores here, so yeah, 10 and 10, 10 and 8 from Lamb Lamb and Noisy, hitting those double digits, but the rest of the team not so much. And then in comparison, 13 kills and 10 kills for the 2 leaders on Berserk, and ultimately not a lot coming in. I mean, Mad with 8, Jacob with 5, and Beware's with 4, but really just the standout shooters carrying the success through to the 7-3 for Berserk. And I wonder where we're headed for map 2 now. Because we have gotten rid of one of the unknowns, really. And if you look at what's ahead of us left, Hideout still on the table. One that both teams prefer heavily in terms of win rate. And if Berserk are feeling confident coming off of a successful win in map 1, maybe we go to their preferred place for map 2. But with Dam and Arctic off the table, Factory also a prime option. Still a solid Blaze EU map. And Skyscraper there, a risky choice. I haven't seen, it's very interesting to me to note that Skyscraper has completely fallen out of the map rotation. I think if you look back at replays from even maybe definitely a season ago, Skyscraper, obviously because there was less maps, Skyscraper was a dominant pick. You had to pick into Skyscraper more than not because you wanted to ban Arctic more and because Arctic hadn't been reworked. so you know, you kind of look back at why people chose Skyscraper. I think it was out of necessity more than preference. And now when you have the choice of do I go skyscraper or do I go somewhere like factory, hideout, Arctic Dam, ship, all of which have a lot of freshness to them. You know, in particular the Arctic Dam and ship maps, having their reworks and being a new map with Dam. You know, there's a lot more on the table. And so I think we've seen actually a lot of even skyscraper being banned, but also just entirely avoided by both teams. Very few squads have picked into a skyscraper map so far this season in particular. And maybe that's a stat for the Triangle Factory team to take home, which is a great moment for us to shout them out. Triangle Factory sponsoring the VRML, supporting us with cash prizing into the prize pool and in-game cosmetics. Tremendous support from them, and has been for 3 seasons now. It's been a joy having them on board and supporting the VRML, so we really do appreciate them. And obviously HyperX supporting the NA side of the prize pool, so not as relevant to the EU folks tuning in. And of course ProTube, I think an EU company, and our longest sponsor. We really do appreciate ProTube's support. They offer the best stocks in the VR space, including haptic stocks where you can get recoil in your shoulder, in your pistol. They have golf club mounts for controllers with weights on them. It's great. They have all of the options to really enhance any of your favorite VR games outside of really just stock options for shooters. I think they also do the Beat Saber, lightsaber sort of thing. So, you know, a lot of cool attachment options you can get from them. So do go check out ProTube at protubevr.com. They do sales from time to time as well, so you got to be paying attention. But yeah, they're our longest sponsor, and again, we really do appreciate their support. I think you can also get 15% off, but this is for North America. Any purchase in North America by using code HXVRML23 for HyperX. And with that, we are going into a 10-minute timeout, which means we'll go to a brief intermission, and when we come back, it'll be map 2, potentially the final map of the series if Berserk have anything to say about it, so don't go anywhere. More EU Breachers VRML coming up. Welcome back, everybody, to the Breachers VRML Map 2 in this best of 3 series between the top in the EU region, Berserk, at rank 2 in the EU ladder versus Blaze at rank 9, duking it out in our final weeks of the regular season here. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's. If you are just joining us, we'll take a quick look at the scoreboard and match history, because map 1 on ship resulted in a 7-3, and map 2 on Hideout is where we're headed, and we've talked a bit about Hideout already at the start of the series. It is the best map for both squads. Real quick before the round starts, if you look at that matchup history, you can see Hideout standing at the top. Both teams unfamiliar with loss, but one of them will become familiar. Or tie. We'll have to see as we do get ready to get into the action. Round 1 has kicked off, but no entry from Blaze yet, taking their time before cracking the egg, as they say. Going to go the 3-2 split and try and divide and conquer the Berserk defense here. Berserk been reading the Blaze offense quite well so far today, at least on ship. Been out-aggressing them in some ways. Could find an early kill here. Sergeant's tucked into a tight corner, and they pick up one. Legalo spins, and they can't find the time for the second. It's a 1-2 punch that Noisy Boy's able to remedy, and Archibald finds the other kills. Berserk, like they did in map 1, start off with an aggressive 3-player alive defensive round, out-aggressing Blaze, out-pushing Blaze as Blaze cracked that shell, and instantly a reaction from Berserk, like a red blood cell to a disease. They try and get rid of the offense before they even have a chance to get to that bomb site. Now, you think I could cut a highlight for my great analogies? You know what I mean? Like, if I just think of a good one and say it, that, like, we could highlight those more often, too. Because I just pulled that one out of nowhere, you know? Think about it, Gravy. let's get a day of get a day of highlights and have it just be caster callouts, caster punt, like the best caster callouts and puns of the week. That's so self-serving. We don't need that. Nobody cares about that. Into the action we go, though, for our second round. And a potential bait here from Lamb, who deployed the grappling hook right at the window. The audio cue given out to Sergeant. But ultimately, Lamb not committing to dropping in, so every little thing can count at the end of the day, and that may draw a defender away from a more aggressive position, maybe a rotation, maybe pushing the doorway, and instead the entire defense really worried and concerned about what they anticipate to be inevitable push through that window. But it will not come. Instead, we do have a flank coming into the bottom floor. You can see slowly rotating up towards this defense is Bewares. Flies out for one. Omen down, but quickly picked up, and the Omen been the MVP so far in this series, found multiple kills. You can still see Sergeant in now, also Archibald defending the window, anticipating that eventually someone's swinging in, but nobody has. Static emitters down, Bewares on a lower floor rotation coming in, and Alkin finds one. Bewares still swinging up, onsite defense waiting for this flank to come through, and Bewares is just trying to get lines of sight on everyone. That's a great nade toss that pins Savage down to low HP. Quickly picked off by Bewares, and now here comes Berserk. It's a 2-0 out the gate, and Berserk are looking as good on defense here as they were on ship. That 73% win rate for Blaze going to be tested now as we get to our first full buy round. But it is a partial buy from Blaze because they partially committed into that last round with an Omen and a few bits of utility. Seeing in chat comments on the Berserk success rate on Hideout. Both teams definitely brandishing a solid success rate. Noisy Boy aiming the gun at the wrong person themselves. Or looking through the sights the wrong way. Either way. We'll see if Blaze can right their wrongs, find themselves around here at a disadvantage. Berserk did it last map. It's obviously doable. We'll just have to see how they do it. Swing into the top floor. They will potentially find one. The vault up, and there's Alkin getting rid of the rotation up to the top floor. And now it's a concern for this offense that they're going to get pushed because, quite frankly, Berserk has been pushing them all day today. And Alkin pushes and extends out. They will eventually swing, and there's the ready and waiting Blaze offense, anticipating that that was eventually going to come, but because they had to wait so long for it to come, they ended up losing 2 more in the process. So a 2v4 in front of them now. 2-0 lead for Berserk, and oh, and as soon as the health syringe comes in, King Jakub finds the shots. Puts Noisy Boy alone with the active camo on, and the entire defense quick pushing them. Archibald swings to find the kill there, and if they didn't already have Vezins across the board, Berserk do now. I think they full bought that last round. Blaze, another partial buy. Vezins Omens coming in here in comparison, obviously, to the fully kitted Berserk defensive side. And I mean, look at this. All the utility you can imagine. Trip mines, static emitters, audio transmitters, health syringes, multiple of them because they carried some through from last round as well. And, of course, immolation nades. One thing we've really seen shine in the back half of Season 3. Immolation nades are something that these players are using a lot more, both offensively and defensively. And or Season 2, rather. We're in Season 2. What season are we in? 3? We're in 3. But something we saw a lot less in Season 2 and are now seeing a lot more of in Season 3. And I think that's because of a damage boost to the immolation nade that has come between those 2 seasons. And so it just is much more of an effective tool. You can't really run through it like you used to be able to. If you do, you simply will take too much damage. It's like trying to run through a static emitter without getting rid of it. Of course, it doesn't last as long as a static emitter. It's still used like one. You can see right now it's stalling the entry for Berserk to get into this garage space. A bit of early aggression from Berserk, where they then tactically drop back, anticipate Alkin and the flank to come through, allows space for Blaze to walk into their trap, and then spring it on them eventually. Sergeant is able to get one. The aggression from Blaze putting them into some dangerous positions. Alkin finds another on the backside, and now the reality of their situation becoming aware, and Blaze trying to push in fast. It's the best choice for them, but it's the riskiest choice. Both John Breachers and Savage are tucked in, and they can't get flanked. They know the flank's coming. Alkin actually gets picked off by a beautiful swing from Savage. And in comes the push. Down goes the first of 2 attackers. And Savage knows there's 2 more defenders to work with. A minute 10 left. Utility coming out their way. Do Berserk commit to the push as a 2v1? I don't think so. They're playing a little bit. They're respecting the Blaze offense here. Not to say that they haven't been, but not out aggressing and almost getting killed by a single clip there as Savage had an opportunity to transfer down to the second defender there. Beware's is full health, though. Savage has that health syringe running, and they'll peek out to catch quite a few shots onto Beware's elbows. Savage, full and healthy, gonna go for the EMP plant, and under that plant, Bewairs peeks out. Savage trying to commit through to it, but has taken a good bit of damage there. Baits it out, and there's Bewairs. Can't get their hand up to it in time, and a clutch that gets locked in by Berserk. Just barely, and in a perfect defensive half. Continues. They're looking for 2 in a row. 2 more rounds to go, and they'll have it, and then it'll come down to that pistol round again. Send some funny commentary from you fine folk tuning in. If I was as critical as people are in chat, I think everyone that tunes in would have a bad time. But that's the idea, is that you're analyzing it from your perspective. Anyway, it's good, it's fun, and sometimes you find success in the risks you take, sometimes you don't. That is the risk-reward nature of the competitive side of this game. I think we're seeing a lot of those risks pay off for Berserk, and a lot of them not pay off for Blaze in this series. Ultimately, again, if we quickly take a gander at the scoreboard, kills have come through for Blaze. There's not really any double-digit standout high kill shooters on Berserk. It's a relatively close series, despite the scoreline leaning heavily into Berserk's favor. I think we've had 2 1v1 scenarios. It's definitely been a hard-fought map from Blaze, and rightfully so, considering that they also are unfamiliar with losing too often on this map. I think this is Blaze's most healthy round that they've had in terms of economy. I think we do see the Tripmine find another kill. This Tripmine's been devastating to Blaze so far in this series. Boy cracks open the window. That prompts a double peek. Savage able to get rid of Alkin on the flank, so that shuts down that rotation from coming in. But there is a second coming in, and it's Bewares. It's the offense awares of Bewares. They have to bewares of Bewares. And now they're aware of Bewares as Bewares tries to take down Noisy and Savage. Down they'll go. Savage is wary of Bewares and catches Bewares being wary. As Blaze and Berserk duke it out into a 2v2. A site cracked open, B site lacking any real defense, and you see both Jakub and Sargent rotating to pick up the slack there, but it's a little too late. EMP is getting planted. Hard to retake unless you coordinate together, and the duo on offense coordinates together as Blaze stop the bleeding, put up a point on the board, and quite frankly, keep that 70% win rate alive. I think if they win 7-4, you know, pretty close. Oh, and I just got caught up in reading chat. Sorry there, folks. Savage apparently also having some issues. Hopefully those get sorted, as you can see here. The offense in the final rounds, buying everything they can. All the utility, all the weapons. Savage buys two Vezins and throws them out to the team just in case. Everyone trading their cash around just so they can min-max and optimize, because they don't have a lot of it. That round win definitely helps. That's a very sweet and cuddling moment here for Legolo and John Breachers as they both drone their way in. I've never seen that before. 3 seasons in the land, and we get something new. Double audio transmitter to throw them off, slow them down, force their attention to those transmitters. And while it does give info to the defense, it's almost more of an annoyance to the offense in a lot of ways. Limits your audio capabilities. Falcon does find one on the flank. Could be more of a threat here if they're not careful. Blaze have to kind of keep pressure moving, keep things going. Falcon will drop off, though, and in a nice rotation, Berserk is reinforcing the site. It's something they've done really well against Blaze all series, is that they have been stacking the site that gets attacked very well. As Archibald comes flying out with a Viper in hand and picks up a double, it leaves John Breachers alone in the last round. And they'll go down to an aggressive swing from Berserk with 4 left alive. A commanding 5-1 defensive hold puts them 2 away from a series. And if you're not aware, we reset economies, swap sides, and go back to the pistol round. So, Berserk on the attack now and Blaze on the defense. Hideout, arguably more offensive-sided, I feel. 60-40 in that split, though, and I think largely dependent on where your objectives sit. I think you see some hype in chat for a full-buy offensive round top floor, because I do think it tends to have this top floor leaning more offense than defensive-sided. But I think you go to the basement, I think that tends to be more defense. Middle floor, more defense. So that's kind of where you get your 60-40. 70-30 split. Oh, so I guess it's more... Well, what do I know? I don't play nearly as much as these guys. I cast almost as much as they play. I don't play as much. Nice speak out from Sergeant. Lamb tucks back in. And another immolation. The immolation, again, the MVP of defensive rounds now. Something we see every defensive team taking, and it's because they just cover such a great spread. You can't get rid of them. They last for a set amount of time. You can peek around them. Archibald certainly did. They were only able to find the shots over the top, though, and the sight push likely to come through from Berserk. They want this 6-1. They want this advantage round. A beautiful flash there. Zones Lamb out of their defensive angle. John Breachers reinforces it for a moment in time, but push coming in. Savage trying to find shots through the wall as Bewares leans away from them and gets the EMP plant down. Lamb picks up the frag on the rotation out, and it's a 2v3. Blaze on the retake, much like Berserk, crashing out together, trying to lean into their advantage in numbers. Do they know where the defense is? Do they know there's 2 alive? It seems they're wary of the potential angles. Savage watching Alkin, but Alkin picks up a double. John Breachers finds the second, looks for the third, can't get it, has to go for the EMP defuse. And Jakub has to stop it. They may stick it. I don't think Jakub can do it. They vaulted in. Time ticks down, and even if Jakub dies... One more tick? No, they don't get it in time. It's Berserk with the round, and in a great attempt from Blaze to avoid the map and series point, they cannot. The pistol round locked in, and now the advantage round. Do or die for Blaze every round from here on out. Backs against the wall. I see Mike and Chet calling out the 5-1 curse. You got to hope for the 6-1 curse at this point. On top of all of this, Blaze EU now face the unfortunate reality that the best they can do in this series is tie or lose. Those are their only options. In comparison, Berserk have the luxury of being at a tie or win scenario, so momentum can shift pretty heavily at a moment like this when you get to the second map, when you get to the 6th point. I think it may shift in favor of Berserk just a bit here. Double Vezin, Omen Buy. It's a big commitment that could hurt them big time. It's why we talk about the 6-1 curse. It's why the 6-1 curse exists. It's mostly an economic curse. It's an economic risk that you take when you go big on what you think to be the final round of your series. If you lose, that economic risk, it's so large that it puts you at a disadvantage for multiple rounds. And, well, Berserk have been playing pretty well at disadvantage regardless. So I don't know if that's going to hurt that bad. Omen's coming in. Vezin's out. 1 kill for the price of 2. Benefits Berserk a little bit better. Sergeant's so low on HP, though, and is there any health syringes? Yes, there is. Alkin has one, so well, I don't know. Sergeant's on the flank. They may not be able to get it to them in time. Archibald catches Lamb, and it leaves John Breachers and Legolo alone as Legolo holds offsite. Breachers onsite. They go down. And I'm not sure if Legolo can't move. If they've maybe run into a bug. If they've put their controllers down and aren't playing anymore. I'm not sure. But they are sitting at A site. And with EMP down and 4 left alive, this looks like it's Berserk. Locking in round number 7. Locking in the series. And yeah, I think Legolo had some controller issues this round. Is what I'm getting. It's unfortunate. Always charge your batteries, folks, before you jump into a competitive series. That's the lesson learned there. And there it is, the series locked in by Berserk, a 7-3 map 1 and a 7-1 map 2. In a hard-fought but solid victory nonetheless, Berserk will be crowned the champions this afternoon. No map 3 played here, as the series is over in 2, and we wrap the afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Triangle Factory, for supporting the VRML and cash prizing and in-game cosmetics. HyperX for supporting the North American prize pool. And of course, ProTube, our longest sponsor in existence for the VRML. We appreciate the support from all of them. It's what makes this a possibility. And you make this a possibility. So thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. Come back for more action next week, which is the last week before break. And then we go to Thanksgiving. And you can also catch me later tonight in a Veil series, a highly anticipated Acer matchup over on the Veil side. So if you want to check that out, tune in. But until then, my name has been Nightfire. Stay classy. VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager, Triangle Factory. Thanks for watching VRML.